Welcome to GoSimcha, the podcast that takes you on an in-depth approach to the Jewish music, entertainment, and simcha world. Now, here's your host, Zeesha Littman. The following episode of GoSimcha, the podcast, is proudly sponsored by Keren Simchas Chassan V'Kala. Keren Simchas Chassan V'Kala was founded over 25 years ago and is based in Brooklyn, New York. KSCVK helps widows, orphans, and people who are in dire need of marrying off a child. Working through their network of vendors, KSCVK ensures that every wedding is just as special as the next. Run by world-renowned party planner Devorah Benjamin, KSCVK takes care that each wedding is as elegant as the next one, ensuring dignity and class through every wedding that they put on. To donate to KSCVK, please visit their website, kscvk.org, today. That's kscvk.org, and help make someone's wedding special. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another wonderful week of GoSimcha, the podcast. We just came off episode 2 in season 2, which featured Avram Fried. I'm sure everybody enjoyed that episode. I know I did. This week, we are going further behind the scenes. We're taking the time to sit down with one of the most notorious producers in the music industry. He has helped countless artists on their albums and has been very instrumental, no pun intended, in some of the greatest albums we have out there in the Jewish music world. It's an honor and a pleasure, a big skills to sit down with Yitzy Berry here on GoSimcha, the podcast, kicking off season 2, episode 3. Yitzy, Shalom Aleichem, how are you? Welcome to my show.
Hi, thank you so much. Hello to Zeesha and hello to all the listeners. And it's really a great honor to be here right after Avram Fried, the great legend. It's a big honor.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, we're every week we have another guest on the show, and everybody has a unique story. Avram Fried had a very unique story. Every guest we have has a cool story. So now it's your turn to tell us yours. So how did it all begin?
Wow. We have to go back here a nice amount of years. And, well, the truth is, I'm sure most of the people know who my father was, who my father is. And, I'm the son of one of the biggest arrangers from the last generation. And Baruch Hashem, he's still alive and well. He's just a little bit in a different area today. He's in the yeshiva here in Jerusalem and has a lot of talmidim throughout the years. But I basically grew up in a very musical environment, starting with my father doing, big productions, doing MBD, Fried, all the big names those days. And the truth is that until the age 10, 12 at least, I did not even know what my father does. I had no idea that he deals with the music business. He was never like one of those big stars and stuff. He did everything like he most of the time he did things bein azmanim, and during the year he was a rebbe. So that's a very interesting combination what my father was in the music business. But at some point, I became a teenager, started a little bit getting more into enjoying it, going with my father to studios to watch the live musicians and all that. And I just loved it. It was just in my blood. And I guess I picked up something over there. I only started playing piano when I was 16 years old.
Oh, wow.
So that's I call that the big miracle of my career is that I was able to, because that's really it's too late really at that age. But Baruch Hashem, I picked it up and I just did it. And then in yeshiva, I was learning in yeshiva here called Torah in Jerusalem, and I met a friend, just nothing to do with the music. His name is Eli Klein, and I met him in yeshiva. We were chavrusa actually, and we started talking a little bit about music. And then, it became more and more. And somehow it just rolled into us doing our first production. This is probably 10 years ago when, I was just in my early 20s, maybe a little before that. And our first real opportunity came up when David Fadida, known as FDD Productions, called us one day. He called Ellie, actually, and he wanted us to do a song for Yonatan Sheinfeld, which was just a very young kid at the time, and he was starting his career. And we did he let us do 2 songs on that album, which was a very big treat for us. And we really had no idea what we're doing. We just came to the studio. And this is the first time like that I'm coming to the studio, and I see Avi Singold, Yaron Gutfried, the great pianist, and Avi Avidani, the drummer. And they knew me as a little child that just, used to come there and just bother them. And all of a sudden I'm like, with my papers and all that, which I used to handwrite the notes at the time before they were computers then, but I just didn't know it. I just did what my father did, what I saw from my father. And he always wrote the notes out, so it took me hours to write those few notes. And that was a great experience. But since then, we had a lot of nice breakthroughs, and it's a big siyata d'shmaya. There's really no good reason for it, but it's just what happened.
Wow, that's quite a story. So from going and following your father around to coming up and doing it yourself, that's quite a story. And I guess the old saying goes, you got to fake it till you make it. So I see, you said you went in there and you had no clue what you're doing. And then Baruch Hashem, everything worked out very well. And you said you had a number of different breakthroughs, and here you are today. That's really impressive.
Yeah. It's a bit of a crazy story, because I think anyone I'll meet that was back then in the studios and saw me as a child, like, it's always like they're very surprised. They're like, okay, it's not like I was one of those kids that came in, but I was like always very involved. I just came in because I enjoyed it. I really had nothing. I couldn't play one note on the piano at the time. When I was coming, like I said, I just started at age 16, with the piano. And it's just like, it's some kind of a miracle. And, it just shows that someone that has it inside, it could burst out any day. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to, there's a lot of work that went into it afterwards. I remember myself, right after that, when I was like 18, 19, I remember being Azman, and I would come home. And at the time, my father already had a home studio, and he bought, a Mac with Logic and all that. And I remember my mother at some point, like, telling me, Yitz, you did not leave that studio for 10 hours. And I'm like, really? And 10 hours? And it's true. I did not eat nothing. Like, I was in there literally for 10 hours, just working on stuff and trying to figure out what I'm doing. And there's a lot of work that goes into, it doesn't just happen in one day, but it just shows that if you have it inside, so it's just going to burst out one day.
I don't know for sure, and I totally understand the hard work it goes into arranging pieces of music and writing, doing the notation. I actually took music theory back when I was in high school, and I'm a musician. I play a number of different instruments, and I took music theory. And writing and doing the notation is very, very tedious and very, 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 very frustrating sometimes. But when you get it right and the melodies all sound so good and clear, it's just a masterpiece. It's a mechaya. And it's amazing.
It definitely is. And it's funny that you're saying that, because I never really took theory, nor did my partner Ellie.
You're not missing anything, I promise you.
I'm not sure. The truth is, my father also never took, and but it's just it just shows that it could be very helpful, and maybe also save some time on certain things. But a lot of things that I today, let's say I read about music theory and different leading and whatever harmonies, and I'm like, that makes perfect sense in my head, just from picking it up from different things that you learn throughout the years. Right. What sounds better and what sounds,
Right. No, for sure. and then you're able to transpose that onto the sheet music and then give it over to everybody else. No, for sure.
Right.
It seems like I said, quite the journey. What would you say one of your biggest issues was when it was coming up in this? Like, what was one of your biggest trials that you had to deal with coming up into this industry?
What was one of the big obstacles?
Yeah, what was something that was it was a big obstacle for you?
Well, as I said before, everything just it's not like I had this plan, since I'm a child. I didn't have this dream to become this arranger or anything, or be like my father. I mean, I did have it inside of me, and there's something so amazing by knowing that you're doing something, even if you're not in the front, on stage, but you're doing things. I work from my home.
Right.
I just never leave my house except for like going out for davening and stuff like that.
Right.
And things and that like hundreds and thousands of people are dancing out there to things that you were involved in either composing, arranging, producing, mixing, whatever it is. And it's just like one of the best feelings a person could have, that he's actually doing something. And it's just it's amazing. But like I'm saying, I never had this big dream when I was a child. I never really was trying to do something, and I felt like I have to overcome something. It really was like one big siyata d'shmaya story, which I feel very grateful to Hashem, of course, and to a lot of people along the way. If it's my father and Ellie, my partner, that together we've been for 10 years already, and I'm sure that we both help each other on so many aspects. If it's musical, just like learning different tastes and whatever it is,
right?
Or also dealing with different things in the industry, and you have only half of the work on your shoulders. You know what I mean? So it's
right. No, for sure.
There's something very, yeah.
And it's funny because how you say that you're behind the scenes of it all, but when the production comes out and everything comes out, the geschmack you get from seeing everybody involved, like excited over the music and dancing and everything like that, it's truly incredible. When you had Miriam Israeli on the show in season 1, she said the same thing. She said she's super duper behind the scenes. She writes everybody's lyrics, she writes everybody's music,
right?
And she said she was at Binyanei Aluma. And there was a concert with like Mordechai Shapiro and like a big concert at Kilo. And she said she was sitting in the crowd, and she gets such a geschmack from it. And she turned around to the family who was sitting behind her, and she looked at them and she said, "You know who wrote this song?" And they're like, "No, who did?" She's like, "Me, I wrote it." And they're like, "Wow." It's like to see the finished product from your perspective is something truly it must be exciting and gives you such a geschmack in it. And
yeah, it's definitely very fulfilling, and it just fills up your heart with joy to be able to really do something good for so many people. And even sometimes they don't know that it's you, or they don't know who you are, or they don't know
right.
that it's your song. A lot of times you do something, and in the end, somehow the credit didn't even get on there. People forget or whatever. People just forward it on WhatsApp without all the credit. So, okay, it is what it is, but it's really, one of the most fun things is when someone is talking to me about songs, and he says, I really love this and that song, and he didn't even know that I have anything to do with it.
Right.
And then I'm like, okay, yeah, great. That's my song. Thank you.
That's really funny. That's really funny. So you mentioned you had a few major breakthroughs with the people you've been working with. Who are some of your biggest success stories that you've had that you've worked with?
Well, our first breakthrough that I could remember is when Fadida, David Fadida, afterwards let us do a couple of songs on Ohad's album.
Oh wow!
And that was like our first. Yeah, no, the first time we did for Yonatan Sheinfeld, and we did for Yitzy Berry, which was he wasn't what he is today. it was just starting then, and we did for him a couple of songs. It was very nice, and we were getting experience. And then when we asked Fadida, what's with Ohad's album, he said, "Oh, no, that's serious production. Okay, that's with Yossi Green and Moshe Laufer. I don't think you could touch that." And then somehow all of a sudden, a couple of days later, he's like, "Okay, you know what? You're gonna do 5 songs on Ohad's album." I'm like, "What?" So we ended up doing a nice amount of songs on that album. If it was Malchuscha, composed by Eli Gerstner, it was Miban Siach, composed by Yitzy Waldner, great composers, and it was a big honor for us also to do that. That was the first time we actually recorded a string section also, and it was just amazing. So that was the first breakthrough that I feel. After that, a couple of years later, we met 2 Hasidic guys here in Israel. Their name is Yoeli Klein and Shaya Gross. And, we were playing around a little bit with a few different songs. And then they came to us and said, listen, there's this Kumzit song that we just wrote, and we do it with, they had some kind of yeshiva over there that they went always to do Kumzitin for them on Thursday night. And they said, you have to come. So we went over there one night, and they were singing a song for 40 minutes straight. And it was just so inspiring. It's the first time we heard this song, but it was so touching. And that was the Afilu B'Hastara song, before it was ever produced or anything. And they said, okay, we want to do it. And so we did that arrangement. And I don't remember such a thing since then. A song that we did the arrangement, and the minute it came out, it was just a huge hit. I don't even know how that happened. And 2 days later, Chaim Israel already recorded his own version, and then I can't even tell you how many more versions of that song we've seen since then. But that was also a big breakthrough, I feel. The Hastara, and then of course doing MBD's last album, Te'aka, which was about 3 years ago. That was also a huge breakthrough for us, because that's getting a stempel from the biggest artist in Jewish music that's been leading. He's been leading the Jewish music industry the last 40 years probably.
Yeah, it has been about 40 years. I remember because I was talking with Avram Fried about that last week. He said, when he started off in the industry, there was not that many people, and he said MBD was one of them. He was the front runner in the Jewish singing world. He was a young kid who came on the scene and disrupted the entire scene by changing it from a bunch of older people going out and doing more chazanas to bringing out that energy and that livelihood that he does. And yeah, it's about 40 years plus. It's Kanai Nahara.
Yes. And I feel for him to actually come to us, we were basically young. I mean, we still are, Baruch Hashem, but some things, young producers in the music, and he's used to working with the biggest names that we we look at them my father, Mona, Moshe Laufer, and then for him to come to us and actually we did 8 songs on his last album, 8 out of 12. So it's we were wow, this is a big thing for us. And Baruch Hashem, and we're actually working already now on the next album. So that means that he's masking,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So Yitzy, we're going to take a quick pause now to hear a quick commercial break from our sponsor, Costa Rica Cruises, and we'll be right back. And we're back. Wow, Yitzy, that was an incredible story. And the fact that you landed MBD as a client and you're working with him on his other album really shows that you guys do quality work and you're able to be up in there with the rest of the big names. Now, who else have you worked with over the years? What are some of your notable clients that you've worked with over the years?
Yeah. First of all, when you say clients, my heart is like squinching. I don't even know why. It's just like it's not clients.
Not a client.
It's people we're working. Right. Yeah. He's not my client. I mean, we're people that we're working with.
Chaverim.
Yeah, we're really, really friends, and we get to know each other. It's so funny. I was thinking about it just the other day.
Yeah.
That there are some people that we've done songs for, either composed or just arrangements or even just mixed the song for someone. And I really feel like I know the guy, even though I never met him in my life. And
Wow.
and it's just from going back and forth, and you really get the emotion of you get his heart when you're dealing with art.
Right.
You really get a person's heart, and that's very interesting because I don't know if you have that in in different industries, because when you're dealing with art, it could be music, it could be whatever it is, books, but you're really understanding the other person's emotions. And let's say just now we did for Morty Shapiro. The first time I ever spoke to this great, he's a great person and a great singer, and I got to know him. The first time I ever spoke to him was, let's say, like a week before Pesach or something, just now, like a couple of months ago.
Oh, wow.
And now on his last album, it's funny how that evolved also. I sent him a song that I wrote, and I did I really wanted like a very calm, soothing, like a morning song. I did it very soft country, and I sang, Boker Tov Olam, Boker Tov Olam, Boker Shekaze, very, very soft. Mm-hmm. And I sent it to Morty, and the next day I wake up with like 3 emails from him. Wow, this is amazing. I just want, sending to Yitzy Waldner, my producer, and this and that. And then the next day I spoke to him on the phone, and he's like, yeah, I love the melody. I want to take it to a little different direction. And he sings to me like with his piano, the pop style that, I don't know if you heard it yet, but it's
which one?
On his last, Boker Tov Olam, it's called, and it's on his last album, the 6th track. And I said, wow, I love it. It's so Morty Shapiro now, and I love it. It's like pop. It has a good feel, very, very vibrant and spark. And then he said, okay, and I think I'll take it to my arrangers. I have here greater pop arrangers in the States I work with. And I said, why not give me a chance? I'm assuming he thought that I'm more for MBD, like more the live stuff, whatever it is.
Right.
And he said, okay, but I really don't have time because this album has to come out. I want it like Ba'omer, but the latest Shavuos.
Right.
So I said, okay, don't worry, I'm not gonna take your time. And within, I don't know if it was the next day or 2 days later, I sent him this track of the demo for the arrangement, and he was like going crazy from it. And he said, wow, I can't believe it. It's only 2 days, whatever. He was like all nervous that I'm going to keep his album from the release date, and then anyway, Baruch Hashem, he ended up giving us another 2 songs that he hadn't yet given for arrangement. So we did 3 arrangements on the last album. It's just such a big, siyata d'shmaya, how these things work out. You do 1 song, you send it out, and all of a sudden you get 3 arrangements to do, and you're like part of someone's album, and someone great like that he's really, if you said before about MBD, that that he's the first one to take from Chazanis to actually giving out that real liveliness on the stage. So Morty is taking it to a whole different stage here.
For sure.
He's like,
He was great.
He's doing something big.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was also a very big pleasure to work with him. And as I was saying, it's like you get to know a person through. I never met him, but I'm like his friend now, and I feel like I know him. And just from a few voice notes here and there, maybe a phone call,
right.
And I really get to know the person and to know what he likes and his energy. And he has great, great energy. He's so enthusiastic, and he's like, when he likes something, he loves it. He's like, he doesn't just, it's good, it's fine. He's like, wow. And he has that spark in his eyes all the time. So It's really nice. That's why I'm saying it's not clients. friends, and it's people that I work with, and we create things together, and it's a great feeling. But if you asked who the names are, so I don't have a list of them, but I'm saying we had the honor to just actually release a song with Avram Fried just like 2 weeks ago. Abba, it's called.
Yeah.
We did that
I love that
arrangement and
song.
production. It's a great feel.
It's like it's Avram Fried mixed with new age, with like a new style of music. It's Avram Fried meets like electronic. And I was telling him about it. It's like it's such a great mesh, like with the beats and with that low bass and all that stuff. It's such a great mesh.
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't think the two would go together, but the way it's synced up and combined, it's incredible.
Yeah. In general, I must say about Avram Fried and MBD, these people, if you think about it, the people that actually are still up and alive, that were here also 20 years ago. I mean, there were some more singers back then that were very, very matzliach. Maybe not like as them, but they're still around, and they're still kicking it off like really. And that is because they have such a young spirit, and they're willing to hear new styles that they never did before. And they're not just like, no, we love the old style. Give us the 90s. Give us. We find people that are singers that they just want to hear the old sound, but that's not what Kyla wants to hear. Well, and Avram Fried and MBD and Shweki and these people, they really know how to. They want it. It's not just that they're doing it because that's business. They really learn to enjoy it themselves.
Right, like
he
was saying to me.
Sound.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like he was saying to me, Avram Fried was telling me, he's like, I broke every rule. I did with this track. I broke every single rule that I knew in music, and I just did it. He said there was no, usually we go with an intro. Here, there's just a few guitar licks, and it goes straight into the beat and straight into the vocals. We broke every single rule, and it came together, and it was just amazing. Yeah, he said
he spoke to me about that also before. He was impressed from it. He was like, we're used to having an opening and this. I said, I know we're used to having an opening, and this is just it. That's it. It's a song. It's a good beat. It's a great message, and it's Baruch Hashem. It really picked up, and it's doing great. So
absolutely,
the
amazing.
rules are here sometimes just to know that they're there, and if someone doesn't know that the rules are there and he's just like doing things out of nowhere, so sometimes it's a little bit weird. But if you know they're there and you know why you're breaking them, so it's a good thing.
Right, and that's what it's all about. Meaning, is like to really continue to succeed in the music world. You have to really adapt to what's going on. But again, like what Avram Fried was telling me, he's like, I have my boundaries. I know where I stand. I know where I'm going to go, and I'm not going to go over the borders. And like that's how he's able, like people like him are able to continue to succeed in producing music, because they can adapt to the new music, the new styles that are going out nowadays, but staying in the realms of their borders. And that's what you got to do. And I'm sure you've worked with a number of people who are into the new styles of music. I mean, that's what I was going to ask you. What's your take on all this new styles and new sounds within the Jewish music world, taking from the outside sources and bringing it into our world? What's your take on that?
Listen, I'm loving it because in the end, it's not us that are deciding what people are gonna actually like. People love new sounds, and they're looking for it anywhere. So if you have the ability to actually take it a little bit, tastes from there, and give them something that's that's kosher. So I think that's an amazing thing. And things change. People taste change. It might go back all of a sudden to different things that that were once. And it's very important to keep being current. And first of all, my father also, he's from the old school, but he loves these new sounds. He always tells me, Yitzy, when you have something, very nice and poppy, send it to me. I want to hear it. I want to know, even though he he can't do it. He can't do that anymore today. You know, he doesn't have those that he doesn't have it in him, but he really enjoys it. And
Right.
look, some people, at least here in Israel, they accused us back in the day for being for being like the starters of this whole pop electronic and you know what I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
till then it was mostly, you know, like I said, Mona, Moshe Laufer, there was Eli Laufer, there's Yisrael Lamb, all these arrangers, great musicians, and my father, and they all did only live music. You never heard electronic, you know, MBD
Right.
had one little electronic track here and there, but like when we came out, like I said, the first Yonatan Sheinfeld that we did, not actually the first song, but after that first album we did for him,
Right.
for his second album, we did Just Do It. It was called, you know, Fadida said, I want a song in English, a real pop electronic song.
Right.
And we were still in yeshiva at the time. We just sat together in our dorm in yeshiva and wrote Just Do It and did the production all there in the computer. And when it came out, people were like, what? It's so goyish and it's so, but in the end, today, if you look back at it, it's so innocent.
That's so
It's
funny.
like, you know, today things are coming out that are, yeah, you know.
Well, everything in Israel
So,
is more harif. You know what I mean? Like everything over here is always on a higher level of like harif, no matter what you're doing. So like it compared to what goes on in America, you know. But it's still very funny
right.
that's what the response was. Yeah.
Yeah. We get that still a lot of times. Like, what? You do live music also? We thought you were only like electronic producers or whatever. Like, we still get that even like today, just because of that. Just do it, and I guess, you know, a few more things that we did for Kinderloch back in the day, and different things for
Kinderlach,
Dacia, whatever.
wow.
But yeah.
That's funny. Wow, well, can I her? I mean, it seems like you guys keep doing great work, and you're producing great music and bringing great sound to the world. What does the future hold for Yitzy Berry?
Wow, who knows? You know, I really, I look at myself and, I'm a little bit like, can't believe where I am today. Really, I had it's really a pleasure to meet so many people and to be able to inspire so many people. And, like I said, you know, just working with all these great, really, there's so many people told me, you know, the music industry when I was younger, it's so messy and don't get into it. And like, why? Just, you know, become a lawyer, whatever it is, an accountant, whatever. And I can't imagine myself being somewhere else. First of all, there's so many great people, you know. Every industry has, you know, here and there a little bit mess, but there's really so many great people that you meet on the way, and everyone's trying to, you know, to succeed. But of course, they're trying to do good. You really see it on, you know, Benny Friedman was here the other day, just a couple of weeks ago. He came to my studio. He's just like such a good person, you know what I mean? Like he's always smiling and like, I think he could just sell his smile, you know what I mean? He doesn't even have to sell songs, really. He's like so nice and so, and Morty and Barry Weber, all these guys like we've worked with and MBD, you know, we sit here and like half of the time we're not even doing music, we're just schmoozing and it's just so much fun. So I'm just praying that I could continue with what I'm doing. And
amazing.
Just, you know, that the future should still there should be great music always. We should always come up with great ideas for songs, and I just hope that it continues.
Amazing. Wow. Well, this was quite the story. I'm happy we got your perspective on what goes on and going properly behind the scenes of the music industry, what you do, the impact that you have, and the wonderful people that you work with, and the fact that you enjoy what you do and is always a plus. So Yitzy,
that's the best part about it. Yeah,
for sure. And it was seriously a pleasure having you on the show. I'm finally happy we're able to help you, bring you down. And I wish you tremendous hatzlacha in everything you're doing. Continue to bring good music to Klal Yisrael. Continue to inspire with the people you're working with and with your songs. And keep me posted on when you're releasing some new music.
Oh, sure. I'll always keep you posted. And it was really a pleasure. Even though we almost didn't speak about the actual work, but that's already material for another episode, maybe in the future.
Well, what do you mean?
The actual what we're doing.
Right.
What?
What do you mean the actual? Yeah. Oh, so tell me right now.
No, actually, like a lot of people, they ask me,
right.
What do you do? What do you do? The singer sings. So like, what did you do?
Oh, you do everything.
Whatever. It's yeah. So that's what I want to say. But then, like, what do you mean everything? Like, and it's very funny to see because different people. The music is like it's so interesting because like different people know different. They have different knowledge about like what goes into the music. So they, some of that's already more today. More and more people know that there's a whole process.
Right.
That there's first just a melody. Of a guy that composed the song. And then there's a guy that did the arrangement, like what style it's going to be, what chords, what harmonies, what tempo, what will be the opening, the whole feel. Right. There's so many things that could change a song, a feel of a song.
Right.
Starting with the melody, of course, the lyrics, of course, the arrangement is so important also. And then just even the sound of it, how the singer sang it. Did he sing it with a smile? So there's so many things that go into each song, really. And I think I can't find on this, but I think that we were the first ones, me and Ellie, to actually bring all that into one in one under one roof. You know what I mean? Like it's like we do also the composing, the arrangements, the sound, the mixing, the vocal production, and all that. And it's a very nice journey for each song, from the minute it's born as a small idea in the head until it's like actually a product out there.
That's incredible.
There's a lot of work. So.
That's absolutely incredible. And again, Kenai Nahara, you should continue to have tremendous hatzlacha in everything you're doing because it's a real avoda. But at the end of the day, when you see that finished product and you go and you hear those concerts and you hear those albums and you see people with the smiles on their face and the schmack that they're getting, it must be nachas to you and must be nachas to Ellie. And
exactly.
That's it. It's worth everything in the entire world. So
yes, it is.
Again, Yitzy, thank you for stopping by and joining us on GoSimcha the podcast. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep bringing out good music that inspires, that gives us chizuk, that is good to listen to, and everything you do. And like I said, keep me posted on everything you're doing.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Sure. All the best. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've just listened to another wonderful episode of GoSimcha the podcast. For more news, updates, and information on our next episode, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram at GoSimcha Live, and don't forget to check out the show notes and videos on www.gosimcha.com along with zeradio.com. Thanks for listening, and remember, Go Simcha!